Looks like it just stopped. Okay, perfect. Well, hello and welcome. My name is Laura Shackelford, and I'm the Senior Program Manager with reacHIRE. We're going to talk to you a lot more about what reacHIRE does, but today I'm so excited to chat with you about the power of returners, diversifying the talent pipeline in gaming. I have been with reacHIRE for a year and a half now. My role is to help returners successfully transition back to the workforce after taking a career break, whether that's 1 year or several years, 15 years or more. I have had a long career in HR and higher education career services, so I've just always really enjoyed and been passionate about helping people identify and navigate their career path successfully. I'm also someone who enjoys gaming myself, so I'm thrilled to be here and chat with you about this topic. So just a few of the challenges that we see for at least women in the workforce. We know that 74% of millennial women are anticipating taking a career break, whether it's for childcare, elder care, or maybe supporting a partner. But that's a huge majority that are planning at some point to take a break. And then there are 87 women promoted from entry-level roles to manager positions for every 100 men. So still quite a disparity there in terms of getting women into management roles. We've also seen that 11% of women leaders are leaving organizations, and this is the highest rate ever. It's creating a huge problem in developing a diverse pipeline. We also know that 1.7 million women left the workforce as a result of the pandemic. So huge issues there. Those women may be coming back at this point. They may have decided to take a longer break. There are a lot of people that took a break after that during the pandemic. 1 in 3 women have also considered downshifting or leaving the workforce this year. So we have a lot of challenges currently in the marketplace for women. When we looked at diversity in the gaming industry, I was really happy to look at your diversity in the gaming industry report with IGDA. And it looked like 34% of the respondents were workers of color and 30% were women. So pretty low numbers there. And then about half of them were between the ages of 27 and 39. So a very youthful workforce. One of the other things I really noticed was that workers of color and women reported that they were more likely to be in temporary or part-time roles, which can really have some major impacts on retention of diversity and women long-term in organizations. So I thought those were really interesting stats. So a few points about reacHIRE and our focus area and who we are. We attract the right talent. So we at reacHIRE look for talented professionals with an extended career break. They often represent an untapped talent pool that many organizations overlook. Often these individuals may not get through traditional application pipelines because maybe they've taken a year or several years off, or maybe they were in a slightly different area or industry. We also help you engage and empower the talent that you have. So we know that women in the workforce want to be recognized for development and career advancement, but that still continues to be a huge challenge, especially in areas where there is disparity in gender and people of color in the workforce. We also help you retain your key talent. We also know that women can feel unsupported and alone. They can struggle to navigate and advance in their organizations, and they often leave to seek other opportunities. So again, building that diverse pipeline is really important and something that reacHIRE assists with through these returnship programs. I wanted, before we get into some of the nitty gritty of reachHIRE and what we do, we really wanted to introduce you to one of our returners that we've worked with, Ramalakshmi, who is here today. I'm going to ask Ramalakshmi some questions, and she's going to give you her firsthand view of what it was like to be a returner through reachHIRE, especially in a male-dominated industry. So I'm going to ask you, go ahead, Ramalakshmi, if you're ready. So if you could introduce yourself and just let us know how long was your career break and what made you decide to re-enter the workforce?
Thanks a lot, Lara, and I'm so happy to be here and share my experience with you all. So I am an engineering graduate, and I started my career as a software engineer way long back. And then I slowly grew. I became a technical leader. When I quit my job, I was a technical leader. That was 15 years ago. So, and then I took a break when my first daughter was born. So that break kind of extended after my second daughter. So I kind of was out of the workforce for around like 14 years. So then after that, my both kids are settled now. They are going to school. They are independent now. So I thought, okay, I should get back to work. And I was like feeling a little bit, uh, I was having a lot of time. Like they are independent now. So I wanted to do something for myself and get back to what I was doing before. So yeah, that's when my journey with reachHIRE started. Yeah.
Awesome. Ramalakshmi, what challenges did you face in returning to work?
Yeah. So when I decided that I would return to work, I started doing, I mean, I told myself that I will do whatever it takes to, get back. So I did the reskilling part of it. So I went back to classroom, I did training, I made sure like I knew what was happening in the market, what was happening with respect to the technology. Since I was a software engineer, that's very important. So I did reskill all that I was doing, but the confidence was very low. I was not sure, like, if I'll be able to cope up with the changes in the industry, if I will be able to do it. So there was a lot of doubts and questions in my mind. And apart from that, when I was applying, I was not getting interview calls from the through the normal, application procedure where you just apply for any role. That was not happening. So I was like asking myself, this question kept bothering me. Why would anyone hire me? I mean, that's the question that was bothering me during the whole process. And since I was not getting calls, my confidence was super duper low. So that was the main challenge. The though I was prepared to do whatever it takes, I was just looking for an opportunity, and I was so low in confidence. I thought I would never get it. So yeah, that
One thing I love about what you said to Ramalakshmi that I wanted to point to is that you did upskilling and you
yeah.
knew you needed to go back and maybe get some skills to go back into the workforce. And we see that a lot with our returners. Once they decide, they may be ready to go back in the workforce, they do maybe further education, get a certificate, work on different skills during that time. And employers are always really impressed with that. Um, Ramalakshmi, what made you choose a structured returnship program like reachHIRE?
Yeah, so as I was telling you, getting into the industry through the normal way was very difficult. And I learned about reachHIRE from my colleague when I was in classroom training. Like we used to discuss all these things. So she said, hey, I heard about reachHIRE, and their program is really good and you should give a try. And when I started, looking up and reading about it, I felt like this was the thing for me. It felt like, yes, maybe if I have this kind of support which reachHIRE provides, it would be easy for me to get back into the workforce. So yeah, that's when I gave it a try. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you kind of alluded to this with the support, but
Yeah.
what do you feel was different about reachHIRE than simply entering the workforce? And how was maybe the recruitment process different from what you'd experienced before?
Yeah, so first of all, as I said, the support system is there. Like you're not just thrown into the water and you're learning how to come back up. So that was definitely not the case. There was a structure, and the onboarding was awesome. They see, the technical skills and whatever is required to do the job, we kind of have it, right? Like when you want to get back, you make sure that you have all the skills you need. What I found very, what helped me the most was with respect to help me gain my confidence back. They were always there with me. Like the first interview was with reacHIRE was very, very positive. Like as I told you, I was so low in confidence, and I didn't even know. The first interview was a matching kind of interview. Like they went through my profile, they asked me questions, and they wanted to make sure if I was the right candidate for that position and if I can handle it. So it was more of that kind of an interview that happened with reacHIRE, and she was so happy. She said, "Oh, you have everything. I think you got this. You can do it." And those two sentences like made my day. I was like applying here and there, everywhere. Nobody was responding back, and I just needed that, and I got that from reacHIRE. That is the best thing about that. That's how the interview went, and it was so motivating and positive. Basically, they were trying to focus on my strengths and make sure that I focus on my strength instead of worrying about what will happen and all that. So the interview process definitely is like a very cool, and they know where you come from. There was a lot of empathy. Yeah, there was a lot of empathy with what I have been through. And she was like, okay, don't worry, everybody goes, leaves their job for their whatever reasons. That doesn't mean you should be punished for it. Don't worry, you're there and you got this and you've got everything. You've done reskilling. Yes, you can do it. So yeah, that's the kind of support I got, and the onboarding. And after I got selected, of course, there were another interview with T-Mobile where I got recruited. Then the onboarding was there. Onboarding was awesome, actually. The first week you spend on going a little bit deep into yourself, analyzing. I actually got to know some of my traits and how I can fix them, because we did this assessment called DISC assessment and personality traits and presentation skills and all that. So it was like by the end of that, I felt totally equipped and empowered. Yeah, and throughout the program, we used to have regular check-ins with our reacHIRE manager. That's another excellent thing. And also, we used to have we had a returnship cohort, so we used to meet each other, talk to each other. See, throughout this journey, what I wanted basically was somebody to talk to. Yeah, and if I am doing it right. So the regular check-ins helped me to ensure that, okay, I was doing the right things, and they used to be in touch with our managers in the company where we were hired. So if there were any red flags, I wanted to know about the red flags soon enough than later. So this is the kind of support, and it felt like they had my back throughout the journey. Yeah, if I had to tell in simple words, they had my back, and they were totally supportive. And my managers, I would talk to them. Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you alluded to a few things I think that are standouts in the 6-month journey, and one is the difference making of having a recruiting team that understands where returners are coming from and sort of what skills they're looking for, and also empowering you during that journey, and also the onboarding that we take so much care in getting our returners in and making them feel comfortable and supported through, getting them excited and invested to join that organization. And then just the consistent throughout the 6 months, you talked about you do have that dedicated support from a program manager with reacHIRE, so, and your cohort as well. So there's just a ton of support throughout the whole program, which leads to, I think, much more successful outcomes.
Yeah.
Ramalakshmi, how did your 6-month returnship end for you? How did things go?
Yeah, I mean, it went pretty well, actually. I started feeling comfortable in my role within the first 3 months itself. Like my manager was like very happy, and he started like giving me hints that I would definitely get converted to a full-time role. So everything was going fine, but still because of the market and suddenly there were budget cuts and all that. So the last minute was a little bit of Yeah, a little bit of things were happening and we were not sure. Like I had my recruitment had to be approved by the topmost executive in our, it had come to that. They said, okay, you need approvals all the way up to hire anybody because of all the budget cuts and everything. So all that happened for me smoothly. My manager supported me totally, and reachHIRE was also like continuously telling me, hold on, don't worry. Yeah, I think it will come through. So I did have support from reachHIRE and from my manager also. Like he was like, he was wondering why it was not happening. So yeah, so in the end it was a little bit tension, but I think overall the 6 months was very, very smooth for me. Yeah. And I had upskilled and I was willing to go the extra mile. So I did all of that and it was perfect. Yeah.
And you're still working there now, and it's been a year later after getting converted full time.
Yeah. 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 And it's
Yeah,
going great. Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Ramalakshmi, why do you think companies should hire returners?
Uh, I mean, everybody deserves a second chance, right? First of all, for whatever reasons you went back, you left the workforce, you deserve a chance to come back to work. Of course, that is there. And other than that, returners, you kind of have a guarantee because they have done it once, so they can do it again. So that guarantee is there. So I mean, I feel like it's a no-brainer. You're giving a chance to a deserving candidate, right? Who is willing to put the extra effort. And I notice this also otherwise also because we are so curious, we are so yeah, we want to prove ourselves soon. So we go the extra mile. We do a lot of, there is a lot of learning attitude also because we are coming after a long time. The attitude to learn and grow is much there with us, and we are willing to do what it takes. So I think that itself is more than enough reason for somebody to hire us.
Absolutely. And a lot of our, the companies that we work with and the managers, they always talk about that, attitude, that persistence, the gratitude of the returners to be there. And we actually have so many of our returners who are hired full-time are retained longer into these organizations because of all the investment and support that they received up front.
Yep,
So
of course, for sure. Yes, there is
yeah.
a lot of loyalty.
Well, Ramalakshmi, I really, really want to thank you for sharing your personal experience with everyone here today, with your returnship and all the successes that you've had. And just also want to thank you as being someone I got to work with for a little while at the last part of your returnship. And I'm just so glad where you are now. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to actually turn it over to the wonderful Ariel, and she's going to introduce herself and talk a little bit more about reachHIRE and returnships in general. So thank you again, Ramalakshmi.
And thanks, Laura. I mean, thanks for everything. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. As Laura mentioned, my name is Ariel Gallipo, and I'm the Senior Director of Strategy and Operations here at reachHIRE. My background is in financial services and private equity. I've served as a human resources business partner and talent acquisition manager. So I've been in this space for quite some time as an internal hiring resource within organizations. And love the approach that reachHIRE takes to hiring non-traditional talent and focusing on gender diversity. That is really our lens here that Laura was talking about earlier today. And Ramalakshmi provided the human element of why it makes sense to hire returning talent. And it's not only the right thing to do, but it also makes smart business sense. So as you can see here, companies that have a higher proportion of women in their teams and leadership roles report better profitability, higher rates of innovation, and have an increased return on equity. So there is a business case for hiring this diverse talent. And This may already be something you are bought into, but I often find sharing these stats help promote more internal conversation with maybe some of those leaders or stakeholders who aren't quite bought in terms of why are we going to make this decision to invest in a returner or invest in a return to work program. This can help tell that story along with some of the human elements that Ramalakshmi was talking about in terms of what we see in the caliber of returners that we hire. So looking past the revenue perspective, I wanted to share a little bit more about the actual talent pool that we focus on. So looking at the diversity of our returners, on the next slide, we have some stats that highlight the percentage of women that we've hired to date is 96%. So as Laura shared at the beginning of this presentation, the problem that we're trying to solve is that broken rung in the talent pipeline where women are leaving at higher rates than men and then not getting promoted at as quickly as men are within the organizations. So we are reinfusing that talent back into the organization at really a mid-level and bringing primarily women back into these companies that we partner with. We also have an ethnically diverse population as well. 80% of the participants that have been hired into our programs identify as minority populations. And we also have a highly educated group of returners. 60% have an advanced degree, 99% have a bachelor's degree. So really, this is a group of people, as Ramalakshmi has stated, who have that professional experience. They've been and done this before. On average, our candidates have 11 prior years of work experience. So they're not coming to you like a green undergraduate college person who may not necessarily know how to navigate the dynamics of corporate America or the politics of a large or small organization or a startup. These are people who have the EQ, know how to work in teams, know how to prioritize, and can do that really effectively. I share the results of the folks that we've hired because this generally is representative of the returning population overall. And as Laura mentioned, hiring managers who we've gotten testimonials from in the past are often, pleasantly surprised by the experience that they have, not only from the talent that was delivered, but also by their ability to learn throughout the experience, learn a different way to assess and recruit talent, learn how to provide mentorship and upskilling to folks who are maybe learning a new industry or just getting refreshed with a new technology. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship when you're hiring this diverse talent. I think Ramalakshmi also mentioned some of the benefits of hiring returning population in that they're loyal. So we have a 92% retention rate for folks who are staying on at organizations 2+ years later. Why this is important is because we know the trends of younger generations, always looking for the next best thing, the latest and greatest, and they're much more likely to move on. Returners have that loyalty. So the investment upfront in helping them understand your organization and upskill is going to pay off because they're going to be invested in developing a long and successful career at your company. And also just have such a growth mindset by nature. As she shared, she was already pursuing upskilling, on her own independently. And that's a mindset that they carry forward as they begin working at these client companies. So hiring returners helps to normalize a nonlinear career path. And this is important as it sets the tone not only internally for your company culture being one that promotes DE&I efforts, but for current talent that is assessing your organization and saying, is that the type of company I'd want to work for? Increasingly, it is becoming more and more important to the younger generations that companies prioritize DE&I efforts and show that they are an inclusive workplace. And by normalizing non-traditional career paths, you would be doing that. candidates are doing their research in this competitive market. Having programs like a return to work program is a differentiator that shows you're thinking differently about talent. And there are a number of ways that we see companies doing that in the marketplace, moving to skills-based hiring, not requiring undergraduate college degrees for a lot of jobs. There are so many different ways that you can approach this problem. And we think, hiring returning talent, especially post-pandemic, where a lot of folks had to take a step back, both men and women, this is a great way to create an on-ramp and another path for them to be successful and restart their careers. A decade ago, return to work programs and talking about returners in general was not a well-known language. So we just define a returner as anyone who's stepped away from the workforce, and people do so for many reasons. Caregiving is obviously one that comes top of mind to take care of families, but maybe it's also aging parents, taking care of yourself and your own health and well-being. We also have folks who are moving to the US and getting work authorization for the first time, veterans who are moving into civilian life, spouses, military spouses who are also seeking employment. So there are just a number of reasons that one may be taking a step back from work. And we just want to encourage all of that talent to know that they have an opportunity and will be valued and seen, and get that call back and attention from organizations. So right now, roughly a third of Fortune 50 companies have return to work programs. Fewer than 10% of Fortune 500 companies offer a program. It's much more prevalent in the financial services space. In 2008, the first return to work program started at one of the big banks. So this has sort of grown up in that industry, but our goal is to make this prevalent across all industries and all spaces. We see talent that would hugely add value in the gaming industry. Last year, half of the talent that we hired was in the technical space, and 96% of those technical hires were women. So again, really delivering on that gender diversity and in roles that can certainly add value and contribute significantly to your organization. So at reacHIRE, we partner with companies in a number of ways to help you hire this talent. One is just on the hiring front. We understand that organizations have to be strategic about budget and headcount. So if you have, one or two immediate needs and you're looking to diversify your talent pipeline, we would certainly be able to take those on and help you attract, screen, and assess that returning talent. We have a huge community of returners. After 10 years of being in business, we've really developed a space of just alumni and folks who understand we're a resource that will help them get back to work. So really connect companies with these high potential candidates and help them think differently about the transferable skills and the potential that these candidates bring. Because as Laura mentioned, in your traditional hiring processes, where you're looking for keywords, they may get screened out, or as you look at resumes, someone with a career break just may not get the time of day. So we really invest the time and energy in understanding the big picture, the transferable skills, advocating and telling the candidate's story to help with that hiring piece. So that's one way that we can help, is just in the attraction and recruitment of returners. And as Ramalakshmi was talking about, we also offer a more robust support program. Some organizations we work with use this as a workforce planning strategy. So for roles where there are continual needs, think like we always need a handful of software engineers or scrum masters or data analysts, they develop what we call a return to work program, where they're bringing people on at scale in groups of 6 to 60, really depends on the client size. And they're going through a structured experience together. So reacHIRE still helps with the sourcing and marketing and the recruitment of the talent, but then also builds on with a full 40-week of onboarding training meant to help build that confidence and the skill sets needed to do the job. and then followed on by monthly training and coaching. We think that's so important, especially for folks who've been out of the workforce for just a bit longer, because it helps to build that confidence and keeps them on track to be successful in the long term within your organization. As we think about DE&I efforts, it's not just about getting that diverse talent in the door and working for you. It's about making sure they're set up for success. So they want to stay at your organization and will be there for a number of years. So that's really where our full service return to work experience comes into play. It's structured much like an internship program in that it's a set period of time where the returners can either be on contract with your organization as reachHIRE employees, or you can hire them directly and then go through that training and onboarding experience where both parties are feeling out if it's a mutual fit. When returners join as contractors, it allows the organization and the returner an opportunity to assess if this is something that they want to continue after the 6-month program. And more often than not, actually, almost all the time, we see that returners are staying with the client companies that they start at post-program. So just a testament to the quality of the talent. And I think another indicator there is that once our clients are trying out and piloting our return to work program, they're doubling down and coming back year over year to expand and grow the initiative, because it proves to be such a viable and diverse talent source. So I think that's the most rewarding part of my day job personally, is just expanding the way HR leaders and hiring managers look at talent pools and recognizing the potential that's often there, but just is going unnoticed by their recruiters and their traditional hiring processes. So we would love to share more, and I will share a link in the chat just to our website so you can learn more about our specific services. But returners as a whole provide such a diverse talent pipeline that for a number of years has gone untapped. And organizations like reachHIRE and many others are helping, bridge that gap. Because when you think about folks who stepped away, they may not be looking for a job in the same ways as someone who is currently employed and actively interviewing. So we've really developed an art in connecting the dots through that recruitment process, and hope to be able to help you all as well as you start to think about your DE&I goals and visions. So I'll pause there to see if anyone has any questions. All right, well, if there are no questions, Laura, I don't know if you have any final thoughts. We will certainly be following up with more information about reachHIRE. We also have a B2B guide that just walks through all things related to returners, whether you're hiring one or you're deciding to hire a number through a program. There are a variety of things to consider. And as I mentioned, we've been doing this for 10 years. So we sort of crystallized all our good learning and wisdom into a document for companies that are considering diversifying their talent pipelines in this way through hiring returning talent. So we hope that you find that helpful, and that you found today's session hopefully helpful and learned something new. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Laura.
Thanks, Ariel. And I just want to really thank Rama Lakshmi again today for joining us and sharing her experience, as well as you, Ariel, for sharing all about reachHIRE. And more importantly, the International Game Developers Association. Thank you so much for allowing us to share a little bit about reachHIRE and what we do. And we hope to hear from you all. We'd love to help you diversify your talent in the gaming industry. So thank you again for joining us. Right, and with that, I know this is also recorded as well, so I think it will also be placed on some communication